Good Tuesday morning, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk, an insider's guide to real estate, life, and the pursuit of happiness. Folks, we are live in Charlottesville, in Central Virginia, across the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. It's social media used for the good, to unite, to galvanize, and bring people together. We're presented by Yes Realty Partners, a trusted name in the real estate game, and of course, our fabulous friends at Pearl Certification. We have one of them in-house, a man whose contagious energy is welcomed. We love Joseph Gentile. We also love Tad Luttrell. We kind of love Keith Smith as well. Keith Smith, our friend.
I just come along. I just kind of hang out here.
We love Keith Smith.
No. Well.
Judah Whitcower is our director, studio camera. Good morning, gentlemen. Keith Smith, good morning to you, my friend.
That didn't even take 30 seconds before I got my first ding. And I fully expected that to come from my brother from another mother.
I have a feeling more are coming, and I got the sound machine ready to go, gentlemen. I got the sound machine ready to go.
I don't know why you're laughing, because I'm holding this aside.
Probably coming at me.
I don't know why you're laughing. So, gentlemen, thank you for being here. New title, congratulations.
Thank you.
VP of Real Estate. What exactly does that mean, Joe?
It's basically the same thing I did before, but now I get a fancy title to go along with it.
So you get a little extra.
I cover all things real estate for Pearl now. You know, I'm in charge of bringing new agents and brokers on board.
Sure.
I'm in charge of product development. I'm in charge of research. So it's a lot of fun stuff to go along with.
So let's officially start. For the couple of people who don't know who you are, tell me a little bit about yourself and Pearl.
Sure. Joseph Gentile, Vice President of Real Estate for Pearl. I've been with Pearl now for 4 years, and we help homeowners regain their value when they have a high-performing home. So when they have high-performing assets like solar that's put on by Segora, we give them the proper documentation to help them recapture that value.
Ted, tell us a little bit about yourself. Not your TV show you did in the 70s, but
no one's going to understand.
Nobody's going to totally understand.
No,
Inside joke, folks. And about Segora.
Yeah, so Tad Luttrell, Chief Sales and Marketing Officer at Sigora Solar. So we are headquartered here in Charlottesville and are now in 14 states throughout the country, coast to coast presence as well. And we actually, last rankings, I think we've just cracked the top 15 for rooftop solar contractors in America. So.
Top 15.
Top 15.
That's legit.
Congratulations.
So we're getting there. We got a lot further to go, a lot more to do, but we're getting there.
Well, you apparently got 14 more to go.
That's right.
I did that all myself.
That's right.
Good job, Keith.
That's why you get paid the big bucks.
I got paid the big one. I did that with more than 10 fingers I had in my hand.
I thought I heard those toes working furiously.
You saw that, didn't you? Look, part of the reason I wanted to get you two guys to come on today. First of all, I just love sitting and talking to both of you guys. It's a ton of fun.
These guys are great guys.
But you guys work hand in hand. So let's kick that off a little bit. How do you two guys work? Two companies work together. Mr. and Mrs. Smith are now putting a new roof on our house today that's 20 some odd years old. My next step is going to be having Segora and Pearl come in. So let's talk about how that process works. Joe, you want to kick it off?
So from a Pearl standpoint, what we do is we find contractors across the country that are above grade contractors, like they're the best of the best at their craft. Segora was one of our first, and they're one of the best in the country. That's why they're growing at such a rapid pace. So what we do is we come in, we certify all the work that they do. So when they come in and they do an install, or they come in and do, what it is, reduce and replace is what you...
Produce and reduce.
Produce and reduce. Produce and reduce. I get that screwed up somehow all the time. It's two words and I get them mixed up. So what we do is we come in and we're saying, okay, this house is a high-performing home and it's got a high-performing asset in solar, and we give the certifications to the homeowner so the homeowner can then leverage those in the real estate transaction.
Yeah, and it makes perfect sense for us. It's always interesting in the solar industry. For years and years, you kind of always just told people, oh, it's going to increase the value of your home, because if you have a lower electric bill than your neighbor and someone's shopping for a house, naturally they're going to want to pay more. But there was no real way to prove that, and Pearl accomplishes that goal. And so you don't have to just take someone's word for it. The biggest thing for us is to say, look, we're not only saving you money, but you're your investment is protected over the long haul. You know, you don't just do this only to save money. It literally increases the value of your home. And Pearl certification, and I believe, I don't want to claim this if it's not true, but I believe we may have been the first solar company in the United States to offer Pearl certification. And so we have been teamed with Pearl really from the very beginning. And, you know, we have seats on their advisory board helping them, you know, kind of to continue to grow. And, you know, something we believe really strongly in. And so we offer Pearl certification to, you know, to all of our clients when they have solar installed.
So we talk about value, right? Which is a real estate show. Mr. and Mrs. Smith are putting a new roof on our house. We, you know, from our world, right? We know how to add value to that in a resale environment. So how is a real estate agent, how do I add value? I just put solar on my house. What formula do I use? How does that process work, Joe?
Well, it's funny you should say that. So we just developed a brand new tool, and Segora was one of the first companies to actually go live with it, which is our solar equity calculator. So what we do is we do the income-based analysis for that system, and we provide that as part of the certification for that solar install. And that actually will give you a value of gives you a range of value of what it should be.
When we were having dinner last night, and as we have talked off air, when he and I get together, the first thing we talk about is food. Right? And meatballs and pasta and bread, and he offered to bring some bread down the next trip.
Yes. Next time I drive down, it's bagels and bread I have to bring.
There you go.
Very nice. Maybe Greg Slater is saying hello to both you guys.
Yes.
going on,
I
Mr.
saw
Slater?
Greg was on recently.
Yes.
Thinking
Good
about that
people,
this
Greg
morning.
Slater. He says hello to both you guys.
Absolutely.
He's got a lot of respect for both you guys, and he's sharing the Pearl certification Solar Power World Online link that you were just talking about right there. That's a beautiful aspect of social media right here.
That's right. I was thinking recently you guys had Greg on here, and I was thinking
Yesterday.
Greg and Keith in the same room together have probably forgotten more about real estate than most people will ever know. So, yeah. So two of the best right there.
Well, thank you for now. My price is going up again.
Luttrell knows how to play the game right there. You can tell, dude.
There's
You
a
can
reason
tell.
you're a VP of sales. So speaking Chief.
Yeah,
right.
Excuse me. I apologize.
Believe me, I've been called worse than VP. I can assure you.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's no rules
Just
here.
this morning by my wife. Not even.
Wait, you too? You too? Sorry, honey. I'm sorry.
3 days a week as I drive in, my wife always calls me up. Don't screw it up.
And you do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Screwing it up? Yeah.
No, I'm not screwing
Hide
it
it
up.
Let's get back.
Her,
Let's get. This is serious stuff here,
Yes.
right? Because I want you two gentlemen to walk me through this process, really. So we you know, I'm a Marine. I'm in real estate. We need to keep this at a third grade level so I can understand it, which is offending third graders. So walk me through this. Walk me through this conversation I'm having with a client that says, "Look, I'm thinking about putting." Solar and having Pearl in it. What does that conversation look like from my perspective, or from a real estate agent's perspective? Whoever wants to.
Joe,
jump
you
in.
want to start with that,
Well,
or?
I mean, the way it really works is we're certifying the house, and we're giving you all the documentation you need to sell it, to appraise it. We give you everything that's there, right? So if you're a real estate agent, we're giving you the materials to market that home more effectively. And if you're refinancing and whatnot, or you have the house appraised, we give you documentation and the process to follow to have that house appraised correctly, to bring assets, you know, to the value of the home, like what.
But you're still holding this 5%, right?
Oh yeah, we actually just did yeah, I could say we just did a second appraisal study, and you know, Woody Fensham is leading that, and he's just finishing up the paper right now. We're a little bit over 5%.
A little over 5%. So we're growing, because I think last time it was right at 5%.
It's right at 5, so we're slightly over 5.
Slightly
Yeah.
go. So
And I believe they sold 20% faster as well.
There's a speed component to it, but
The value is the main thing,
Yeah.
but
I think in
it's-
today's market, speed is not
Right.
an issue.
That's true. That's a good
How
point.
much it's selling in negative days now. Before you think about
before
selling, it's
you're
already
ready to
up
sell,
price.
someone's offering.
Once you thought about it, done.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So that's an important point, because
Greg Slater, I don't mean to interrupt you. Greg Slater said Greg Slater's still watching, that he sold a home at the Parade of Homes yesterday. Multiple offer situation. The lot was 0.14, close to $1 million, and it did not have a garage door on it. Because the supply chain, the garage doors are so pinched, and they're not being installed fast enough. The house still sold. Multiple offers.
So speaking about that subject, how is that impacting your business?
We've been pretty fortunate. It's impacted smaller companies, I think, more than us. Because of the volume that we purchase at, first of all, we have, our warehousing and operations center out in Stanton. And so we store, thousands and thousands of panels. And so, we're pretty well capable of kind of weathering some storms in the market. So, there's been some ups and downs on supply
Because
issues.
you're produced overseas, right?
It depends on what you use. But almost everything for solar is not made in America. So it depends. There's a lot of the industry that is produced in China. Nothing that we carry is, but that's a lot of the industry.
Sure.
Singapore, Norway, different places. But yeah, we haven't really had too many issues with supply. But it has put hurting on some smaller companies. And unfortunately, that's when, you end up with those situations where they're trying to sell solar and you don't find out until after you've already entered into the contract that it's going to be 6 months before they can get the thing installed or something like that.
So what is your delivery time?
A lot of it does depend on the products ordered, if there are batteries and different things. But ordinarily, we're in the 8 to 12 week range. And usually, if we're in a quick permitting area, we can be faster than that. Oftentimes, it's the counties that end up slowing up the process.
I want to get back to that because that's something that Jerry and I constantly talk about is red tape into green tape and how that affects everything. But Joe, from you shared something with me yesterday, which I never really thought about because you were saying we were talking over dinner that we're going to put solar on it about the battery pack or something. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Battery wall. Yeah, Tad, I think you're probably better suited to talk about. We were discussing if you lose power in your house, without the battery backup, you're still losing power.
Right.
So in order for you to completely come off the grid, you need the battery backup. I was explaining that process.
Yeah, I mean, in the simplest form, when you have solar.
And it was involving this.
In the simplest form, when you have solar, you're still connected to the grid.
Yeah.
You're essentially using the grid or the utility as your backup.
Sure.
And so, because of that fact, when the grid goes down in a storm or something like that, they have safety measures in place for all systems anywhere where it shuts off automatically, because otherwise you'd be sending electricity to the grid and you'd electrocute the guys who are working on the lines. So it doesn't work very well. With a battery, you're able to have essentially a closed loop system where your solar can charge the battery, your home runs off of the battery, and you just can have a cycle there where you can stay off grid for essentially however long you would need to.
Anything on the feed?
Yes, absolutely. So questions the state Segora Solar is currently in right now.
Oh boy, okay. So, let's see. New York,
You want to pull up the website?
Maryland, New York, Maryland, Virginia, obviously, North Carolina, Florida, Kansas, Missouri, Texas, California. I wasn't counting, is that 14? But there might be someone, Ohio. Yeah, I think that's basically everything right now.
How long have you worked at Sigora Solar? And the second part of that question is what the company means to you, because I know you're super passionate about this brand. You're a tremendous evangelist of the brand. You do a hell of a job, dude.
Well,
you really do.
Thank you. Yeah, so I've been with, let's see, we're in October, so this is my 4-year anniversary. And so, when I came on board with Segora, we were a very localized company. We really hadn't done any business outside of the state of Virginia. And we're really fortunate to have a visionary CEO and founder of the company. And we determined that, the goal was to really grow our brand. And so we started expanding. North Carolina was the first state that we moved into. We have an office down in Raleigh and another in Charlotte. And we expanded there and then just kind of continued that growth. And then a little over a year ago, we acquired a company out in Northern California, Aztec Solar, which has been around forever and a phenomenal company. And then here, within the last few months, we acquired another company in Los Angeles, and we're growing out the Southern California market now. So it's definitely something I believe in. I've been in this industry for over 10 years now. And, it's such a simple thing. It just makes sense for people. You're saving money. It's something you're already paying for. I think sometimes people get confused about the idea like, well, you have to pay for solar. You're already paying for it because you have an electric bill every month. So there's no extra bill that's coming into play. You're already spending the money. It's just a matter of what you're getting for the money you're spending.
So I'm going to jump in for Joe and ask a couple of questions about what some exciting stuff is happening at Pearl that you can
they've got
share
a ton.
with share
you
with
guys are on fire.
folks.
Yeah, I mean, right now, it's funny, you talk about the supply chain. We're working a lot with manufacturers now, and we've had some delays with some of the bigger manufacturers because of the parts that they're making overseas and the inability to deliver on those. So it's pretty interesting. So we're really, the manufacturer piece is huge. The other piece that we're doing now is we have appraisal studies going on all over the country. So we started out in Virginia. We have one going on in Michigan, Massachusetts, Phoenix.
But before you jump into it, why are you doing that? That'd be helpful for folks to understand.
Sure. So, what we want to do is we want to prove out our value proposition, right? We sit there and say we help the sale of the house, or we help, an increase in sales price if it's marketed correctly. So we look at the inventory of homes that we've sold across the country, and we're doing, Woody is doing a data analysis on all these homes to show that they're comparable sales, and we are seeing an increase in sales price.
But we had a conversation yesterday, right? And this is great what Woody's doing and what you're doing there. So as a real estate agent, I'm listing Tad's house, right? You're selling your house, right, Tad? Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Paul Yona.
For the right price, I'm definitely selling.
Here's a question.
Dude, I say that to my wife all the time, and she goes, "No, you see our little boy, he's getting his height in the pantry right there." And she goes, "I can't sell. I want to see how tall he's going to get." And I'm like, "What are we talking about?"
My wife will not entertain the conversation about the idea of selling. She doesn't want to move again. So.
Do you have solar on it?
I do.
Yeah,
You better believe
it.
I was hoping that was the answer. I'll tell you what I've done on that, Jerry, before. We just recently have done this. We actually removed, I brought contractors in, removed a piece of trim, replaced it, and painted it back up so the seller could bring that.
You hear that, Mrs. Miller?
That high chart.
Everything's for sale. In my book, everything's for sale.
Except for your home at the moment.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
But it could be for sale later. So the reason why this is so important, right, is today's world, today's financing world, prices are increasing, but sometimes the appraisals don't quite match, right?
Oh, sure.
And where this could help bring that up to possibly not getting necessarily more money, but it might bring it up to the sales price. Is that making any sense?
Sure, it closes the gap
There you
between
go.
sales
That's a
price,
better
sales price
choice
and
of
appraised
words.
price. So it definitely, the problem that you have is really getting appraisers to buy into the income-based approach.
So why do they struggle with that?
Look, it's a more complicated approach, and again, it's something that requires more work, and sometimes the homeowner doesn't want to pay that additional money, which is beyond me why they wouldn't want to do it, and the appraiser doesn't want to go down that path because the traditional appraisal is just easier. It's just
So I have a Pearl certification on my home. Mrs. Smith, much like Mr. Miller, wants to sell the house. I'm much like Mrs. Miller. I do not want to sell my house. But if we are at the point of sale and we go through the appraisal and let's talk about this for a second, we hand to the appraiser that's coming in to appraise our home the Pearl certification and the appraisal, there's some document.
The appraisal addendum.
The
Yes.
appraisal addendum, thank you. In theory, that should help us.
In theory, but it really, the process starts long before that. So you have to go after the lender and sit there and say, I need an appraisal. I need an appraiser that is schooled on valuing green homes. That's where it starts.
So that's super important what you just said. Most folks do not know. The only person who can really talk to the lender or talk to the appraiser is the real estate agent.
Correct.
Right? Most folks do not know that because of, what was that, the great time of unpleasantness?
Neil Williamson is watching,
Neil
president of Free
Williamson.
Enterprise Forum. He came up with that moniker.
He came up with that
Instead
moniker.
of the recession, it's the great time of unpleasantness.
I think he was talking about me specifically. And I've totally stole it. And maybe we'll give him credit for it later. But back in those days, the appraisal system wasn't, let's say, what it is now, which is extremely robust. So when you have this document, this is helpful because there are starting to be these deltas between sales price and appraisal, not on the positive side, but on the negative side. So as you said, this helps close the gap.
Sure, and look, Fannie and Freddie have acknowledged this. The two largest lending institutions have acknowledged the fact that if you have a green home, you are entitled to a competent appraiser to appraise that green home, right? So you have this high-performing home.
Say that again slowly, please.
So they have, in their rules and regulations, if you have a green home or high-performing home, you are entitled for a competent appraiser to come in to appraise that house. So that's the language. You're entitled to a competent appraiser. So you need one that is educated in valuing green homes in the process of that.
So any real estate agents that's watching this and you're listing a home and you have Pearl certification or is a green
100%.
is a green home,
100%.
You're and it comes to the point of an appraiser coming at me as a listing agent, I can question the other side and say, do you have an appraiser that is competent in green
Yes.
appraisal?
As a
And
matter of fact, so some savvy agents will actually work with the selling agent or the buying agent and have it written into the contract. Look, the buyer and
is
seller
that why
both
your
agree.
title changed to real estate?
I want to acknowledge someone real quick here. The beautiful Mallory Luttrell watching the program right now. Do you
My
want to say
far,
anything
far
to your
better
wife?
half. I love you, baby.
You're fantastic. She has the heart of gold.
So which one wants to sell the house?
Well, so no one wants to sell the house. Let me be
Everything's for
clear.
sale,
No one
you
wants to.
said,
Yes,
right?
but I'm more open-minded to the idea
me
than
too,
she
Tad.
might be.
Hello, Mallory. It's good to
Yes.
see you. So
Hi, baby.
Greg's got a comment for you guys. Just like realtors, we need more appraisers trained on this topic. The Pearl Solar certification is the easy button. Please share how to get one and why it is free if you have solar by Segora.
I mean, Greg's doing the
Greg's
heavy lifting.
lifting.
Yeah, he's doing all the heavy lifting today. That's
Here,
great.
Greg Slater, for you, baby.
No, it is true. I mean, look, so we believe in what Pearl does very strongly because we understand the need for it. And so we automatically include Pearl certification in every installation that we do. So when somebody gets solar from Segora, they're getting Pearl certification as well automatically. And again, the idea is it doesn't make sense to sit here and talk about how solar increases the value of your home, which is obviously part of the conversation that we would have with a homeowner, and then not have a tangible way to show that value. And you know, I mean, I don't want to sit here and talk through all of Pearl's, things, but I mean, they're connected with the National Association of Realtors, the Appraisal Institute, the Department of Energy, all of these different things that they've worked with. And so these aren't made up numbers. I mean, this is, these are the experts who are saying this is how you value this type of work. And unfortunately, particularly when you look at the real estate field, there are a lot of people, whether it's real estate agents, appraisers. I mean, you guys mentioned Woody Fincham. I mean, he's at the very forefront of this type of stuff, and so knowledgeable, but not everyone's like that, and so there are a lot of people that don't understand the value add of solar and how to properly, equate that for them.
Well, that's the reason why on our side of the fence we use this terminology all the time, trusted advisors, right? That's our role. Our role is to be the source of the source and to bring trusted advisors to the table, like Pearl and Joe and yourself, Tad, on that. But there's some other things that Pearl's working on other than this that you might want to share.
Sure. So going right in line with what Greg is talking about, he doesn't even know this yet. We have we're putting together an advisory council of appraisers.
Nice.
Which is very cool.
That's
because
great.
it's time that we get the appraisal community on board and really do some thought leadership with them, expand our products and sharpen them to make sure that they're working at a very high level. So we're bringing in the appraisers all over the country now to be part of the team.
Good. That's not
which is really exciting.
But then you're going to make a little sauce from the little meatballs or something like that.
You really have to be the inner circle to get my
I hope I'm in the inner circle. I want them.
You're in the inner circle.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I love
You've earned
this
the
guy.
meatball. You've definitely
Thank
earned the
you.
meatball.
Phil Siegel giving you props. Justin Forte. Is it Art Umloff?
Audio love, yeah.
He's giving you some props right now. Questions coming in for Tad here. This is from Andre Xavier. Neil Williamson, we'll get to your comments as well. I count 5 states on the show right now. This is a question for you. This is a legit question. Jerry, can you please ask Tad, when will Segora offer the option for customers to sell our carbon credits? I have Segora solar system. He lives in Cascadia across from Dardentown Park.
Okay.
And we're very happy with Segora. They're an excellent company. I'm just curious of carbon credits and the ability to sell them.
Yeah, so the main thing that you'll have now, we here in the state of Virginia, this will be Virginia specific for a moment, we passed recently the Virginia Clean Economy Act. And within that Virginia Clean Economy Act is the ability to sell renewable energy credits. And so we will be, in fact, high likelihood, if it hasn't happened already, that he will be receiving an email walking him through the process of how to be able to register and sell those renewable energy credits. So, it's something that we're absolutely working on. We work with a company called Carbon Solutions Group, and they handle all of that stuff. They're the broker for those
But
credits.
at a high level, how does it?
What exactly does that mean?
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to try to really keep this very high level. So many states have mandates where a certain amount of a utility's energy has to come from green sources.
Yep.
And so they also have a fine system in place for those utilities if they don't reach those levels. As part of that, they created these renewable energy credits. And so it's essentially a way for the utilities to be able to pay the homeowner who's producing that power to kind of claim they had something to do with it.
Several
more or
states
less.
already do this.
Many
right?
states do this, yes.
Many
yes.
states do this, right?
Yes. It's been in places like Maryland for many years. New Jersey has a great
North
program.
Carolina,
right? North Carolina doesn't, but they used to have things with utility rebates.
That's exactly.
So it's a little different there, but they have had a lot of incentives. Washington, D.C. has some great incentives. And so finally, Virginia, again, traditionally coal country, traditionally not the most green, is now really starting to evolve with this. And those renewable energy credits are essentially passive income for the homeowner.
Well, to expand on a little bit, because you two gentlemen, Pearl and Segora, helped the land trust with Greg is the vice chair, I'm the chair on, and we built a couple of units on Nassau Street, which were the first true net zero affordable housing units, to the best of my knowledge, in the state of Virginia. And I was actually talking to one of he's on our board, one of the owners, and he's looking at his usage, but he's like putting, the way you guys designed this, he's putting like double the amount back into the grid than what he's using. And he's pretty cool with it because, hey, look, I'm helping other people and all this great stuff. So if I understand this right, that extra, some of it will come back to him? Is that the game plan?
Essentially, so without getting too deep in the weeds, essentially that overproduction
Listen to this,
that he
Mrs.
has.
Smith.
Essentially what happens is the overproduction that he has now, and any system that overproduces, will provide you a credit that will carry over month to month, right? That's a credit on your bill.
So that's currently happening.
That's currently happening, yeah, no matter what. So that credit, it's not a use it or lose it type of scenario. Now, if you get to the end of the year and you still have excess, then you do lose that, which is why we want to design systems.
So it is a use it and lose it in many houses. In this case, it is, because they're never, because
Well, it's a different credit, Keith. So it's
Yes, this is a bill credit.
Yeah, there are two. So what you're saying is, if you're creating an overage, you get the credits for your monthly bill. He's talking about a different type of credit that you receive, like
so 1 month I'll use
credit,
too much, one
is an entirely different
but
thing.
the way you guys designed this house and we built it, it's month after month after month. They're doubling their.
So which will be great with the renewable energy credits, because he will actually
that's important to
get
know.
income from those credits. That's separate from his bill credit, right? So from his
Excuse me,
utility
Can you
bill.
tag Susan Steinmark, because this is important.
I will.
that-
Susan
that
Steinmart.
our-
If you're not watching, you're about to be watching here. We love you, Susan Steinmart. Woody's got questions for you guys here, but please finish your thoughts.
Yeah, so this is important to know, because Susan Steinmart is the executive director of the Land Trust, and once this comes in place, we need to reach out to our
Sure.
clients and say, look, don't turn that check back in. It's yours.
Yeah,
right?
and they'll receive passive income from the sale of the renewable energy credits. So they'll have a bill credit that will essentially just make sure that sounds like they will never have an electric bill, much to speak of, other than maybe the connection fee.
$7 a month is what they pay.
There you go. So that's just the connection fee to the utility. And then outside of that, they will also be able to start to generate income from the sale of the credit. It won't be a huge amount of money. It fluctuates. It's a market-based thing. So it's all supply and demand. But for many of
So
our
it's not
clients,
directly connected to how much you put in. It's
it is. For every 1,000 kilowatt hours that you produce, that equals one credit, and then that credit gets sold. So the more that your system produces, the more credits you're going to earn.
But that's sold on the open market.
Correct.
Is what you're saying.
Correct.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So it's much like in the development world, they use these these TMDL credits or these phosphorus credits, or there's credit pools for that.
Yeah.
I understand it.
Yeah. So probably very similar.
Yeah.
She says, how exciting, and is watching right now. Hello, Susan Steinmar. Woody, we will get to your comment. This is from Neil Williamson, the president of the Free Enterprise Forum for Joseph and Tad. The energy savings provided by solar panels translates into better value for your home. The National Renewable Energy Laboratory, the NREL, found that every dollar saved on energy through solar increases home value by $20. That's a hell of a stat right there.
Yeah.
That's a return on investment of 20 to 1. When you sell your house, these better savings equal bigger profits. According to Zillow, homes with solar panels sell for approximately 4% higher on average than homes without solar energy. That means an added value of about $9,200. And then he includes a link to the source. Dude, you can't BS your way on this show, man. There's like so many people watching that are so
It's
smart.
great because they're just proving our point. This is awesome. Yeah.
It's not that we've ever tried that.
Yeah, I know. They will call us out when we do.
We learned that a
you know what's
long
crazy,
time
though?
ago.
Yeah, I can imagine.
You know what's crazy is there are still people that will deny it, though. You'll
So
like,
why
I
is
run
that?
into
Why-
real estate-
why are they doing
I
that?
don't know.
They just don't have the knowledge.
You're right.
Isn't
Like,
that
they-
what it is?
I get to some real estate agents. No, that doesn't help the real estate transaction. It's been
But
proven. How
Joe,
many times has it happened
why
to
do
be
you
proven?
think? 'Cause let's try to educate them. Why do you think they are saying that? What's your reasoning for that?
Look, I think real estate is a stubborn industry, and you have people that really need to be led rather than lead themselves. And look, I would love to tell you that every agent sits there and buys into Pearl and what it is, but no, it's a certain culture of real estate agents, and those real
Is it
estate
the old
agents
school agents?
Yeah, the old school agents do not want to take part in anything new. I mean, they were fighting the internet when the internet first came out.
They wanted the MLS in a book that they put in their briefcase.
Exactly.
Let's behave, gentlemen. Let's behave.
I mean,
We're not saying you're old. We're not saying you're old.
Remember that, Mr. Smith, when you would carry around the book of all that.
I know I'm in trouble when he starts calling me Mr.
That's right. Yeah, you know it's not going to be good.
But look, you should. The real estate agents that embrace it are outperforming other agents on the marketplace every day. And when they use it as a listing strategy, they're earning more listings. When they're selling their listings with Pearl, they're selling them for more.
So you said a very important thing, right?
Whoa, was it smart?
Everything, Joe. Everything you say is smart.
I'm gonna let you soak that up for a second, Joe.
It's feeling really good right
Yeah.
now. Just feeling.
Let you soak
I'd
up the-
I'd like to bask in
Yeah.
the smoke.
So look, right now inventory. Let's call it what it is. It sucks, right? But if I'm sitting down trying to convince Tad to sell his house, and let's assume you don't have solar on it, and you don't have a Pearl certification, we can have that. Convince is a strong word. We're trying to help you decide if you want to sell your house. We can use this as to help bring inventory on the market, because a lot of folks are having, well, if I really this I don't want to oversell this gap between appraisal and market at the moment. Historically it's always been the other way, right? Now it's that, but I can see this as a tool. I'm sitting down talking to Mrs. Smith because she wants to move, or Mr. Smith because she's trying to convince me to move, where if we turn around and we get the solar and we do this, we can get the 5% or 6% more. Our bill, our electric bill is going to be more consistent for a long period of time. I see that as an added value to sell the home to Jerry. Jerry's going to walk in and go, wow, I've got a fixed electric or heating bill for 20 years, right?
Yeah. So and
I don't understand why anybody wouldn't want to get in front of that.
There's nobody that loses. I mean, honestly, it's better for the homeowner. It's better for the agent. It's better for
The
everyone
environment.
involved. Yeah, obviously, better for the environment. Yeah, nobody loses in the idea of solar.
So let's talk about this, because EVs, Jerry and I talk about this all the time. EVs are
That question's coming up on the feed right now, too, about electric vehicles. Do we want to ask that question?
Yep, sure.
So first, the question is, how can Segora power electric vehicles that are whole? Now, the second part of the question is fairly elaborate. What happens if everyone on the street tries to power EVs from a unit in their garage?
Okay.
So you probably get both of those all the time.
Yeah, so first of all, we understand EVs. I drove my Tesla here today, and I charged it last night in my garage. I understand, kind of the way all of that stuff works. First of all, it's not that difficult to have an EV charger installed. It's easy enough to be able to do.
What's like price range on that?
It depends
Rough.
it depends on the charger. Typically, as a general rule, I would say, between the charger and the installation, $1,500, maybe something like
Reasonable.
that. $2,000.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm ballparking that. Obviously, there's
But
a lot of variables.
that was like
but-
$4,000 not too long ago.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's gotten much more affordable. And so then it gives you complete freedom. You charge when you want to charge, and essentially it's like running an appliance in your
That's
house.
legit.
Right. Yeah, it's so convenient. I mean, it's like if you had a gas pump in your backyard, your life would be a lot more convenient. You don't have to stop anywhere anytime.
very
so,
true.
So it's pretty convenient from that perspective. In my particular house, I have solar, I have the EV charger. So I'm essentially charging, for lack of a better way to put it, I'm essentially, filling my car up for free. I'm producing the power from the sun, and then I can charge my
So
car.
your electric bill or your utility bill, because I'm assuming you're doing heating and cooling?
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
On that end of it is some fixed number, right?
Yes.
You're-
Yeah, I mean, the only variable is if your usage goes beyond what your system will produce.
Well, so Joe educated me on this yesterday.
Right.
So I'm going to let Joe kick on that because he educated me. So I'll let you start with that education a little bit, and then Tad will pick up.
Sure.
Because I did not understand this.
Sure. So not everybody uses the same amount of energy in the house, right? So like you could have a family of 2, and then all of a sudden a family of 5 moves in. So you have to be careful of overstating the value, right? So it produces energy. You can reduce your energy costs in the house. You can't eliminate them because you don't know what the next person is going to use. So you
Well,
have to
this
be
is
careful.
why this is important, this tag team that you two guys do, because you have come to my home and you are looked at our systems and our efficiency of our systems. Then I would say, hey, we're not ready to get an EV, but we may get an EV some years down the road.
Yeah.
So you need to, you size the
Yeah,
system.
you may say, okay, well, we're going to oversize that system a little bit to accommodate future things that you may want to do.
But you shared something with me which I didn't know. You can actually add panels?
Yes. Yeah, it's not uncommon. I mean,
That's
obviously.
coming up right now. That's
Yeah.
coming up right now on the feed.
Sorry, Jerry. I'll shut up.
No,
I'll shut up.
no.
I
I
mean-
like it. Please do.
Yeah, we definitely do. We can expand systems, so there are times. Now, again, you need to have roof space available to be able to do that, but we also do ground mount systems, which are very popular.
Well, then you get into HOA issues and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
you certainly can, and so but we have options on that, and you can expand the system, so it's not just a one-time deal and then that's it. If you were in a situation where you had a system today, and let's just say, make up a hypothetical that part of your roof, half of your roof had solar panels on it, and then later you decided to get a hot tub and a Tesla. Okay, well, you can add to that system to be able to offset that usage as well and accommodate that.
To bring Joe back into the conversation, so one of the services you guys provide at Pearl is you can kind of come in and do an energy audit or a view to take a look at our house, because that's kind of what you guys did for us, and say, look, you needed to upgrade your HVAC system because it was 20-something years old, right? Is that a service that you guys still provide, or?
No, so we're not doing an audit now. I mean,
We actually do
yeah,
that.
they
Okay,
do the
got
audit.
it.
So, but what we're offering now, it's on the customer side, is that we have a product called Green Door, which is another one of the things we're working
That's
on.
where I was trying to
Yeah,
get to.
Green Door is a pathway for homeowners to make their house more, or understand how to improve their home to be more high performing. So it'll give you suggestions. Every house obviously gets suggested to have solar on it, without a doubt. But if you have a furnace, what furnaces you should put in and what the point differentiation is.
So I apologize, audit was a strong word.
Yeah.
That's what I was talking about, this app that you guys have.
Yeah, I mean, that's terrific.
Yeah, and those things work well together, because Joe mentioned earlier, Segora, we have this kind of trademarked what we call produce and reduce program. And so what we do is not just solar, it's also energy efficiency improvements for the home. So the idea is we try to take a very holistic view of the home. Not only how much energy do you need to create for yourself, but how can we reduce the energy that you're wasting, so that way it makes the home as efficient as possible. And then what we do is we take the results of that audit and all of the solar information, and then we provide that to Pearl, who then takes that and inputs all of that for the Pearl certification and the appraisal documents.
So after that, what's the next step? Because now I need to do something in my home, right? Can you offer some assistance there, Joe?
Well, we do, again, we have contractors of several different trades that can come in and help you, whatever install, if it's a new AC unit.
So you're the source of the source, right?
Right. So then we will provide you with, okay, these are the contractors in our network that provide, X, Y, and Z. And
So that's an important service, because in our world, the question that we get all the time is, anybody who can come and work on my house?
Yeah.
So that's important. So you already have these networks, and the relationships
Correct.
are established, and that's how we frankly did
And again,
it.
and all of our contractors are vetted, so it's not like it's not just an all-in thing.
So talk about that. How do you vet your contractors?
I mean, we look at the installs that they do, and we see if they're, at the bare minimum of quality, or is it above? The materials that they use, like the types of panels that they use and things of that nature. What they're, how they're trained, if they're, depending on what certifications they have, what their reviews online are like. We take a look at some of the installs, and we
You physically
go
go
look
at them.
They'll take a look at some installs and sit there and say, Casey is the man behind the curtain, and he's ultimately, okay, look, these installs are above grade, we'll let them in.
So I know the feed's on fire because his fingers are flying.
Yeah, man, doing about 5 things at once here. So let me throw this to you guys. Pat Howlett is watching in Colorado. Okay, he says, I live in Colorado, and we all know that adding solar to your home will make it more appealing and valuable. If you really think about it, solar is the best appliance one can add to their house. Pat Howlett, thank you very much for that
Hard to
comment.
argue.
Pat's a smart.
Yeah.
That's your homie, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Rich McKenna. It says, great job, Joe. You're crushing it right now. You're getting some props as well from Leighton Dees, who's watching in Mobile, Alabama, the CEO of Reach Pediatric Therapy. Nicholas Erpy, who's the CMO of Emergent Financial Services, has a question for you guys. We need to get to Woody's question. That's been on the feed for a while. Woody Fitcham?
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that.
He says, put language in the contract that requires a green, competent appraiser. You can't pick the appraiser directly, but you can require them to find one that's a green, competent appraiser. Anybody want to offer some feedback on that?
Yeah, so we were touching on it before. So if the language that the agent should be putting in the contract is, buyer and seller both agree that this is a green home that requires a appraiser competent in valuing green homes. And once that's in the contract, the lender has to react to it, right? Because it's a legal document, it's been signed. So now you're forcing the
But isn't
lender
that
at
what
point.
is? Don't you have a preset addendum for this, an appraisal?
Yeah, well, the addendum is just paperwork. Just because they have the addendum doesn't mean that the appraiser has to abide by it. They can still, and deny it. But
Got it.
what I think but an appraiser's opinion of value. So if they assign 0 value for a green home or assign 0 for solar,
Which that makes no sense.
It's an opinion of value. Like, think about that. They're saying that it doesn't add value by not addressing it, by giving it value.
Right.
So what you're saying is, I have a power plant on my roof that's adding no value to my home. Is that
or
what
the
you're
community, right? Because we're giving back, right? Some of this is given back to help others, right?
Sure.
Not that it directly impacts the value of your home, but there's some emotional value and community value built into that. So read that again from Woody, please.
From Woody, thank you, Woody Fitcham. Put language in the contract that requires a green, competent appraiser of the property. You have 11 states watching the program now. Here's a question for Mr. Tad Luttrell from Nicholas Erpy, CMO, Emergent Financial Services. Might have missed you guys talking about this, but one thing I hear from some people is the worry that their panels will break before they break even on the energy saved, and worry about the cost. Any thoughts you can offer? Do solar panels need to be replaced often? If they break, does the whole panel break, or are there easily replaceable parts? We have touched on that some.
Sure.
But some perspective, if you could.
Sure, happy to touch on that. So first of all, this is where quality of company, quality of product, come into play. A lot of people just kind of still have this tendency to think that solar's solar and it's all created equal. And I kind of always say that's kind of like saying a car is a car. They all have 4 tires and a steering wheel. They're not all created equal. And so there are different qualities of panels. Everything that we carry has a 25-year warranty. So the reality is that if you end up having some sort of an issue, for the next quarter century, you're taken care of. I mean, find any other type of appliance or electronic equipment in your home that has a 25-year warranty.
How old I am. I think I'm okay.
And throughout that process, though, not only is that a warranty that we handle, but God forbid something were to ever happen to Segora, because someone may ask that question. Well, great, okay, you have that warranty, but what happens to
if you get bought out?
Yeah,
Right.
Doesn't matter. That's a manufacturer's warranty as well.
So it goes with the home.
Exactly. So you're covered regardless. And the idea, everything with regards to what we do with solar is this is not meant to be a short-term solution. This is a long-term solution to a long-term problem. One of the things that I always say is, you will have a utility bill until the day you die. And then after that, your kids are going to have to pay the last one that was left over, right? There's no getting out of this. Whereas when you incorporate solar, not only do you increase the value of your home, which for most people is their largest asset, but you also have the ability to then control that. You can pay it off. Call the utility company today and say, you know what, I've been thinking about this, man. I just want to pay this thing off. There's no option to do that. It wouldn't matter what you gave them. It wouldn't matter what size check you wrote. There's no amount of money they would take to not be able to bill you in the future. With solar, you can actually pay it off and
then if these carbon credits kick in,
you're making money.
You're making money.
money.
Yeah. And let's add to this. I'm a free market guy. I say this all the time, a libertarian free market guy. Dominion and the monopoly and the stranglehold they have on our state, we see a lot of states watching, really makes me nauseous. And this is me talking. This isn't you talking. I'm not getting you in trouble here. This is me talking.
Let me say certain utilities, not necessarily even in our state. Let me just say certain utilities throughout the country have become very litigious when it comes to solar.
Okay.
Well, because you're cutting into their profits.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's right. So having multiple options is a good thing. Okay, I can say that, right?
I think that's more than fair to say.
Okay.
And it is interesting because in most other things nowadays, if you have choices. Right? If you move into your house, you can decide, well, who do I want to have for TV service, cell phone service, all these things. But you don't have a choice on who to have, or at least you didn't previously, for electric service.
Right.
You just have whoever that provider is, and you pay that payment, whatever it is. And they're not a great landlord. You're renting electricity, and they can raise the rates anytime they want by as much as they want.
I have to stop you there.
I'm giving the man some props over here. I love this man. You're just getting fantastic answers on the feed right here. Erpy says fantastic answer, and you got the Mr. Luttrell on there.
Well, it is tricky. I mean, it's one of these things, right? You're paying for it, so you have to think about, and the biggest thing for me, I did an interview recently in North Carolina, and one of the questions was, well, why do people need to do this, right? I mean, ultimately, the utility company works, question. Right? The utility company works, they have power, and, my answer to that was, well, people used to wash their clothes in the river, right? That was the best option. And then better options came along, and if you saw someone washing their clothes in the river right now, you'd think they were a crazy person. And so, because there are better options, doesn't mean you have to take advantage of those options, right? That's choice, but that's the idea of having a free market, is that the choice. It doesn't mean you have to use the utility, doesn't mean you have to use solar, but you have the choice.
And choices create accountability, and it keeps options that are best in line with the consumer in the marketplace. I mean, good
Couldn't
Lord.
have said it better. It makes all the sense
You're not
in the
passionate
world.
about this, are you?
Yeah, I'm so passionate about this. Joseph Gentile, you jump in here. Anywhere you want to go.
No, I think, look, for me, it's just the proof is out there with solar. It's get it on your house. If you have the ability and you have the sun exposure, why wouldn't you want to do it? It's going to raise your value. It's going to reduce the cost of living there. It's going to make you a better, more responsible citizen, right? Look, it's a no-brainer. I wish more people would do it. And I'm waiting for Keith to jump on board.
Well, so that's Joe. Thank you, because that's where I was going to go next. Yeah. I've just invited you over to my house.
That's right.
You're going to sit at my kitchen table with my wife and I. Tell me how this works.
Prepare yourself, Todd.
Yeah, it's fairly simple. I mean, ultimately what we do is we come in.
Smith, please.
Yeah, we sit down and we talk with you and we say, okay, here's who we are, first of all, as a company. Here's what we do. Here's what we're about.
Okay, we've been through that already.
Yeah.
I want to get to numbers.
And then from there, we basically say, what are your needs, right? I always look at it like our job is like a doctor, right? You tell us what the symptoms are and we're going to diagnose. I have no earthly clue. Because it's customized for every individual home, right? So there's really not a right and wrong.
Good answer.
Ultimately, it's because, again, you couldn't go into the doctor and say, what are you going to prescribe me?
Along the lines of washing clothes in the river.
Right, yeah. So, but ultimately what I can tell you is that we're not going to give you more or less than what you need, because it doesn't benefit you. We're going to diagnose your situation. That's based on your usage, your sun exposure.
Options?
Absolutely.
So talk about that.
We have a ton of financing options. We work with all of so we actually have solar-specific financing.
That's what I'm trying
and
to
so we work with all of the largest and best lenders in the industry. So, I mean, we have financing that can be shorter term, 10, 12, 15 years. We can go longer, 20, 25 years, whatever people want to do. We have rates as low as, I think, 0.99% or something like that right now. All these things based on terms and and how people want to go about it. So some people choose to pay cash, some people pay part cash, finance part of it.
Sure.
But ultimately, when someone finances solar, almost always their financing payment is cheaper than their existing electric bill.
That's what I'm
And
trying
it
to
never
get to.
changes,
That's what
right?
I'm
It's
trying
not
to
going
get
to go up. It's not going to spike. The rates don't, rate changes don't affect you. You know who loves to see rate changes? People that have solar, because it just means that they saved more money. When utility rates increase, you just saved more money because you're protected against that. But ultimately, that's a fixed payment. You pay it off anytime you want.
Where are we on rebates? Keith and I were talking about it last night. So what type of rebates are available?
We're talking. What kind of rebates are we talking about, Joe?
Well, there's the federal tax credit.
Tax credit.
Federal tax credit's the biggest. So essentially, the federal government has, for a long time now, wanted people to move forward with solar, right, and go in that direction because they see down the road, they understand there's a need for it. And so, for all intents and purposes, if people qualify for it, obviously we can't guarantee this for everyone, but there's a 26% federal tax credit. So 26% of the cost of the system is essentially returned to you as a tax credit. So this is different than a write-off or a deduction, right? It's a credit. If you normally would owe money in your taxes, it would go toward paying that. But ultimately, it's a real savings, and so it's substantial. 26% is
substantial.
Yeah.
So, Joe, you've got real estate in your title, right? And
Yes,
you
sir.
handle pretty much the whole country, right, for Pearl?
Yes.
So, let's pivot off of solar a little
Sure.
bit and kind of talk about the market, right? You and I got into a bit of a conversation yesterday, right?
We're not going to talk about bubble again.
We're not talking
not
about
talking
bubble.
No, please don't.
Or balloons or anything that goes pop, please. Other than, well, we don't call soda pop back home. I think that's a Michigan thing or upstate New York
I'm not
thing.
understanding the whole pop thing.
Yeah,
So-
I totally get it.
I think he's aging himself here.
I am.
He's aging himself.
But look, we talk about this. Where's the market going to go, Joe? You've got both of you gentlemen, but I want to hear Joe's opinion on it. You've got this title real estate. So tell me, what do you think's
How
going to happen?
often do you get this? You get a lot, right?
Well, yeah.
I want to know too.
Well, look, we were discussing this last night at dinner, right? I think we're at a point where prices have gotten to a level and income is not getting, really not chasing. It's really distancing.
Well, share
so
that
the
number.
affordability. Right, we were talking about the average, the average increase in sales price across the country went up, I think, 11%.
Yep.
Like 11%, that's a massive number. The average cost of living increase that people received this year. Anyone want to take a stab at that?
I'd say 2-3%.
I was going to say 2.
Yeah.
Less than 2.
So you're talking raises.
Raises.
Yeah.
So if your income isn't going up at the
So
same
that's not
rate
matching
as
with-
affordability, think about the first-time home buyer. They're in real estate jail now. Unless they have a windfall of money that they have or family money, how are these people going to go out and purchase homes? So I think we're at this point where just prices have gotten to just such a level and income is not going to support it much longer. I mean, that's my opinion.
No, you're 100% right.
Well,
So,
interest
and on top of that, you got the lack of inventory issue. I learned this from you. 5.5 million under inventoried across the country.
Wow.
I also learned this from you.
New construction.
24% of a new construction cost is tied to government red tape. A $400,000 home, $100,000 of that is bureaucratic red tape.
That's crazy.
Is that right?
Terrible.
Nationwide, yeah.
Yeah.
According to the National Association of Home Builders, wow, it's
That's
roughly
insane.
100 the $400,000 new construction sale nationwide, $100,000.
That's insanity.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to this permit thing. We won't get to it. But Joe, I'd
So
really
there
like
was
to.
Right. So there's one other thing that we were discussing the other day, and if you think about it, you're a first-time homeowner. You've now taken all of your money and you've sunk it into this house to just get in. You've had no choice, right? So there's no choice out there. You found the home, you got the area that you want to live, you move into the house, you have no money in the bank, right?
You're looking for cost savings.
All of a sudden,
That's where he's going.
No, I'm not even there. All of a sudden, your roof goes. Something breaks in the house. Your furnace goes. They have no money left to fix it. Now, what are they going to do? They're going to leverage themselves, right? They're going to finance something, but they're already maxed out in terms of affordability. They just got in by the, right? So what kind of problem is this creating for us 2, 3, 4 years down the line when this inventory that people are purchasing right now.
Well, this is why you
starts
need a
going
trusted
sideways.
advisor, just to bounce. I'm going to play counterbalance to that a little bit because I have to, right?
Because this now is heading down the road of what. This one is heading down the road. And that's why he's jumping in over there.
So why don't you put pine nuts in your meatballs? I just don't understand.
People want to know.
People want to know, Joe.
I understand because my family doesn't eat them. I understand.
Yeah.
And
No,
it's
you
been
said
passed
you
on.
don't eat them.
My whole
therefore his
my-
family doesn't eat them.
Therefore, right.
Well, clearly it's a Southern Italy thing, which you're not a big fan of.
No,
the Northern Italy
hold
thing.
on. You're judging. I didn't.
Don't
I
judge
didn't
the
judge
man.
it.
Why do you do
It
this?
was
We're going to
just
start getting a lot of
something
comments from Southern Italy now.
Yeah, I
People are
know.
really upset. Like,
Listen,
hurt
when
feelings.
Vito would get in the kitchen and he would make food, he did not use pine nuts. So therefore, when I learned how to cook, I didn't use pine nuts. I don't know.
There you go.
That's it.
We're not going to eat up a lot of airtime when you and I need to talk because you're missing something pretty awesome one. Look, but that's why we go back to trusted advisors, right? You talked about a roof. I'm just going to play on that side of it. So what we're now doing is actually through because home inspections have become this weird thing now because folks are doing for informational purposes only, and what that means is basically pass or fail. What we're doing now, when we're going to come and see Tad's house, and we're made for the second visit, we're bringing a home inspector with us. Right? I'm a recovering developer and builder, so I can look at a roof and know how much is left, but I'm the guy that can't do that. We need to bring in a trusted advisor. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to educate our buyer. Look, this roof is at 25 years, it doesn't leak, but you just need to understand that at some point you're going to have to replace this. You're going to have to put 30 squares on that, and we talk about the latte factor, and you pay one less latte. The other thing that Yona and I do is every first-time home buyer, we buy them a 1-year home warranty with that, and that's pretty important because if your refrigerator craps out, $75, it gets swapped out. It's a great thing. So I don't want you to scare people because we're in the real estate business, brother.
But it's
Hey, how about this? Hey-oh, half Sicilian here. You're worried about anti-Southern Italy settlements here. Pine nuts.
No, that's pro. That's pro. That's pro. Actually, it's dates
The
and
people are
pine
turning
nuts.
on
I
you,
put in
Keith.
my notes.
I have to tell you, the people are turning on you. There's a lot of anger
I
out
thought you
there.
were in my corner. brother.
I am, but I
lives on
was.
the
Now I
internet
feel like things are
forever.
turning. I don't want to be
Are
on the
you
losing
saying I'm
team.
nuts? Is that what you're saying?
Where's the rim shot over there? That's not the rim shot, Keith. This is hilarious.
Nick, you're missing out. He's missing out. Dates and pine nuts in your meatballs. And it's got to be good.
You haven't even tried my meatballs yet, and you're telling me that I need pine nuts in them. How can you
All right,
diagnose
you're
without
fair
having
100%
point.
right.
Fair point.
You're 100% right. That
What
is-
happens if I found the new way to make a meatball?
That's rather
without nuts?
You're 100% right, Joe. I apologize. In front of all these people, I apologize.
How about this one from Matthew on Twitter? And he says, can we ask the question if everyone on the street is EV charging at the same time?
Oh, sure.
No, sorry, guys.
So
Yeah.
I mean, if you're meaning with solar, or you just mean off of like using the utility grid, no one has solar. I mean, I wouldn't see it. They would just be having elevated utility bills. Outside of that, it would be up to the utility's ability to provide that
But
much
wouldn't
power.
that battery pack help me charge my car?
Well, yeah. So again, that's a scenario where if we're talking about solar, it's a different situation. Or with batteries, it's a different situation. It wouldn't really matter. An EV charger is essentially like any other appliance, right? So if you think about like, well, if I got a hot tub, what happens if everybody on my street gets a hot tub? Well, it doesn't mean that there's no electricity, right?
sure.
You're just drawing more. So it's the exact same type of thing. Now, if you have solar, you have batteries, those types of things, then obviously it resolves that problem either way.
Is there ever going to be an option where I could be completely off the grid?
I mean, it would be difficult. Right now, the way most of the things are in place with regards to the tax credit and stuff like that is these are grid-connected systems.
Got it.
So you could, I mean, you have the ability to go off-grid if you were building a cabin somewhere or something like
Sure.
that, and you said, I don't want to have any tie to the utility, you could have solar and batteries and just be completely
I
self-contained.
was telling Joe about this yesterday. My wife has family in Europe. That's not an uncommon thing.
Yeah.
That they have whole walls full of batteries that they literally are completely off the grid.
Yeah, and you will start to see that. We have lots of clients. We install a lot of batteries. Most of what we install battery-wise are the Tesla Powerwalls. And we, at last count, were the largest Tesla distributor from Quebec down to Miami and east of the Mississippi. Segora was the largest distributor of
That's
Tesla
legit.
batteries.
Wow.
And so we have lots of people that have lots of batteries. And so one of the things now that you're going to start seeing in the future is where you will be able to just hit a button and essentially choose to go off grid and run off of your batteries. So you will still have a grid connection if you want to, but you could hit a button and choose
That's
to
how
go
it's-
off or flip your breaker.
That's how it's done.
Yeah, and you can just be self-sufficient.
So this app that we're creating, right, or you have created, tell me how this works. Tell me, I've got my phone, you sent it to me, what do I do?
All right, so you go in, you obviously create your profile, and as part of your profile, you put in all your appliances. And then once you have all your appliances in there, we'll let you know which ones.
What are my appliances? Washer, dryer, heating,
Everything.
cooling?
You can enter everything, like heating, cooling.
Refrigerator, stove.
Every appliance. And then we will tell you, again, good, better, best, on how to increase your point score for Pro certification. In addition to that, we'll also create a maintenance schedule for you to let you know how to manage your house. So things that, like cleaning out your dryer vent, the clothes dryer. Like people don't even think about doing that, but it's important to do. It could be a fire hazard. It actually makes your appliance work harder. So it's things like that. So we'll prescribe a maintenance schedule. We also include how to search for contractors. So if you need to do additional work, we have searches in there so you can find another contractor. In addition, we have, you need someone to help sell your house, and we will put you in touch with someone.
And this is it free, right?
Oh, yeah, it's free.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So I've done that. So how long does it usually take folks to fill one of those out?
Look, 15
Yes,
15 minutes, a half an hour, and you have a full, and you can store documents in there to manage your house and things of that nature. It's a one-stop shop for your home, and as it's evolving, we're going to create different fun ways for homeowners to engage with their house in a whole new way.
Well, I've done it. It took me 35, but I'm a little slow. So, yeah, no surprise to you, right, John? And Tad's slowly figuring this out. But
I'm impressed that you actually logged on through an app.
So my daughter came in from Seattle over the weekend. And I'm interviewing Joe.
Was this the kindergarten teacher?
Yes.
This is the kindergarten teacher.
She constantly says, "Look, I've been built for this. My whole life has been set up for teaching kindergarten." I don't know what she means.
It's a seamless transition.
What does she mean by that? I have no idea what she means.
You just prepared her well, man.
You're
You're a great dad, Keith Smith.
That great
dad.
Yeah, I don't think that's what that means, but I'm pretty sure. But it took me 35 minutes. Yona and I sat down and did it. We had a cup of coffee. We chatted. We plugged in, and it gave us this really cool setup. And we're literally following the path on this.
And solar is next.
Solar's next, really.
Next.
We're following the path. Solar's next. And then, an EV, we're probably going to do an EV charger in it.
Yeah.
But I have a...
Phoenix, Arizona's got a question for Joseph Gentile. This is from Phoenix, Arizona, Jan Green.
Oh.
Jan Green is a realtor at HomeSmart International.
Yeah.
Where do I access the Green Door website for consumers?
Well, it's through Pearl. So if she goes to the Pearl website, Green Door is there on the homeowner page.
Okay.
It's super easy to connect
Yeah.
to, super easy to do.
And Jan, I will definitely reach out to you and make sure that we get you up and running on that.
Good
And
question.
Pearl just
Jan's one of
constantly
ours.
is adding.
So Jan actually had the first Pearl certified home in Arizona.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah. So
Wow.
she led the way out in Arizona.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a
So-
green
so-
designee. She works a lot with appraisers too.
So you can share or not. Any neat stuff on the horizon for Pearl that you might want to share?
How much more neat stuff do you have?
Well, you know,
I mean, you've shared a lot of neat stuff.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd love to keep coming up with new stuff. But you're
Well,
talking
why
about,
don't you save it to yourself? This way you can come back
Look,
and
by the way,
bring
you
the damn
realize-
meatballs, will you?
You realize you guys stop with the meatballs. You bring me
Sorry,
meatballs
sorry.
and bread and
Sorry,
bagels.
sorry.
I will cover. I'll even bring a pizza the next time.
I've got the
I come.
wine.
there you go. I'm ready,
I've
man.
got the wine.
So, if you're checking out a new car, you don't have to go Tesla. The new Mustang, the electric Mustang, is ridiculous.
Have you driven it?
Oh yeah.
It's pretty awesome,
Oh,
isn't
it's
it?
awesome. Casey, one of the members of our team, I talked about him before. He has one, and he made me drive it. I was nervous as all hell. Pulling the thing out of his garage. He's like, "No, go for it. He punch it."
Well,
And then that thing moves. It is so nice. Sweet ride. Yeah, it's like an
so
SUV,
is
a
Mrs.
Mustang
Smith
SUV.
watching?
Yona Smith, are you watching? Can you give us a little poke if you're watching
I think
here?
she's actually working, so that
Yeah.
maybe she's not watching. I got my eye on the new Hummer.
There you go. That'd be
whole
nice.
crawl
Yeah.
I have no idea what I might ever use that for, but it just sounds so cool.
This one's not a bad one from Twitter, and this is from Jason G07. and a bunch of numbers. Jason, thank you very much for this question here. He says, why are solar panels not more proliferated in commercial buildings?
Ooh, great question.
Yeah, so it is a good question. And this, there are two things that people talk about with this, which is A, they think about the same thing on the residential side, right? People like, well, I don't see very much solar. Well, you don't see what you can't see, right? So
you're saying it is there.
People are very
If you've
surprised.
done your job right, you shouldn't be seeing that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so there are a couple things to take into consideration. On the residential side, sun exposure is a huge portion of that, and certain orientations. You typically want a southern, eastern, or western exposure. You never want a northern exposure. So if you're driving through a neighborhood and all of the homes, the front of the house is facing north, there won't be any solar panels on the front of those. You could easily think that none of the homes on that street have solar, but if you were in everyone's backyard or if you were flying a drone, you'd see that there's a lot more solar. It's the exact same thing on commercial. You're starting to see a lot of solar on commercial spaces.
But most of them are flat roofs anyway.
Exactly.
So
It
you're
makes
not-
I
all
was just going to
sense
ask
in the
that.
world.
So this building is a flat roof.
Yep.
Is that any concern?
No, yeah, most commercial buildings are flat roofs. There's
Okay.
no issue,
Gotcha.
and you have tons of solar panels on flat roof buildings, and so there's a lot of different applications. We actually just entered into our first NFL sponsorship with what is now the Washington football team, was previously the Washington Redskins, and they have a very large solar array. They have a solar canopy over one of their parking lots of just all solar, and you can park under it. So there's tons of different applications, and
did
they've
you
used it in
install
different ways. So they actually had that installed, I think 10 years ago. So it's been a while. And now as they start to move into they're designing and looking at opening a new stadium in the next several years, and they're going to be integrating solar into that and want to work with us on that. So my point is commercial applications, there's lots of different things to do. I mean, even in Richmond, I believe it's the Whole Foods over there that has solar canopies over the parking lot. So you're seeing a lot of different applications where some people might not realize that. They're just parking under a canopy. They don't realize it's solar panels. Or you go in, some of the largest TJ Maxx or IKEA or, I mean, there's just so many places that are moving. Even a lot of Walmarts are going with solar. So you're starting to see it everywhere.
So Joe, is there commercial tax benefits from doing that? We're
not in the commercial space.
No, I know you're not in the commercial space, but we're talking about tax incentives for the residential. Do you know of any commercial tax incentives?
We're not in the commercial space.
I can tell you that there are, though. Yes.
Joe, I'm trying to bring you in, brother.
I understand, but you don't know what you don't know. So you got to admit that to everybody.
This lives forever online.
Let me try to ask the question one more time.
Maybe ask it to Tad.
But talk a little bit about the angling of the panels, because I know, I think Bramante, the way they angle their roofs can hide the solar panels a little bit, right? So isn't there?
So there are different ways to apply the panels, and certainly the angle is important, right? Because if you have a flat roof, then oftentimes we're actually going to install that racking that has a tilt to it. So that way you're going to have, and again, we'll angle it based on the orientation that's needed, but it's typically somewhere maybe around 20%. You're going to want a little bit of a tilt. It's still great, and you see certain applications, even on flat roof row homes in DC, they won't always have them tilted. Sometimes they will just lay flat.
I just want to give you two guys credits back to the Nassau thing. We worked all together before we even designed it. Pearl, and that's a flat roof project, and part of the design was if you drive down Nassau, you don't know, and this all came from you two gentlemen helping us through that. And the architects, there's a parapet that goes around it, and it's on this 20-degree angle, and you have no idea that there's solar on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, you can get creative. There are ways to be able to accomplish things. We have, as we've grown, one of our things has been to kind of get away from science projects. When we were starting off, it was like, man, anyone who wanted solar, we'd figure out a way to be able to do it. At a certain point, though, you have to kind of be able to streamline things a little bit. But there are so many different applications. We, for a long time, were in the commercial space. We only recently decided to get out of commercial and really focus all of our attention on residential solar. But we've done a lot of commercial work, and certainly on the residential side. I mean, we do hundreds and hundreds of projects every month. So a lot of times, again, people don't realize how prevalent these things are. But one of the biggest differentiators with Segora, besides our produce and reduce, is Pearl. And that partnership, I think, brings so much value to people. And the great thing, in my opinion, is that
It's a
once you
one-stop
have
shop.
that, well, yeah, and once you have that Pearl certification, you have the ability to utilize them as a resource for, again, heating and air conditioning and all of the other things that they work with. So it's kind of like you're signing up almost for a service. You have that certification on the solar, but now you have a resource for any other future home improvements that they're vetted contractors. You already know they're going to be good. They tie right in with the Pearl certification that you already have on your home. So,
Doing your job for you, Joe.
This is terrific.
hey man, I'm helping
good
out a little
So
bit.
back to real estate, Joe, because I want to continue this conversation,
Go.
right? Interest rates are climbing, right? You know, he's smiling. Okay, so why did you cross your fingers? Tell me why that's important to you.
Well, I mean, because the market is extremely unbalanced, right? An unbalanced market isn't healthy for anybody. It's not healthy for buyers. I mean, the people who are selling, it's great.
It's not healthy for anybody in the field. at all.
Well, look, I mean, real estate is making a ton of money, right? Agents, brokerage, so they're very happy, right? They don't really want it to go away.
I've got to sell something to make money. If I can't find a house for Tad to buy, then I'm not making any money.
Well,
so.
then you need to differentiate yourself using Pearl as a
There you
strategy
go.
to
Well
land more
played.
listings.
Or hosting talk shows on the I Love CVille Network. That's where you got to have that in there right there. Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Joseph.
Yes, I agree with that, Jerry. Nice job.
Thank you.
I set it all up, by the way, just saying.
But what is a healthy market or a stable market is 90 days, 120 days on market. We're dealing in the 20s. That's ridiculous.
Here it's like single digits.
It depends on, look, market specific, micro market, some places, but, definitely under double digits, under 10, depending on where you are. Some markets little areas a little bit higher, a little bit less, well under 30 across the board.
There is no doubt. You're looking at like 20, I think national average is 20, 22 days, somewhere around
Greg
there.
was saying some interesting stuff yesterday because he looks at an absorption rate, which is really interesting math that he did, and I was having a hard time following him, frankly.
Was he using big words? Was that the problem?
It was in big words.
He was
yeah.
using big words?
Had more than 3 syllables in it, Joe. Thanks, Joe.
So you think increased rates is going to take buyers out of the equation? And if it's
Yes.
buyers out of the equation, you're going to have a more balanced market.
Correct. That's what I'm. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
but
hoping.
Joe, jump in here, Dad, if you want to. But the pool, and I talked about this yesterday. The pool of buyers is 10 foot deep.
Yeah.
Right, you're at the high end or 12 at the high end of it, and the inventory is over at the kiddie pool where I hang out.
Yeah.
Not because I just do my little.
So you're
splash.
saying it's just going to go to 7 foot deep, and it's
Exactly
going to still
right.
stay in the kiddie pool.
And-
Yeah,
and-
the
I think
inventory.
Joe's looking more long-term
I have to-
ramifications.
So what do you mean by long term?
Well, you have to.
Because I can't believe we're having a long term conversation.
Well,
In 35 years I've been doing this, I've never talked about, well, let's start thinking about 2024 in 2021.
Right.
you have
Have
to.
you ever done that, Joe?
Well, I mean,
he's doing it now.
We've forecasted out. When I was working at Realogy, we used to talk about forecasting out and what brokers would look like, especially during 2007, 2008.
But it was never talked about on Real Talk and on this type of platform where everybody's listening to it before, because that was all back in amongst the geeks, the number geeks on that stuff.
The insiders, we'll call it.
Right. Look, but
Insiders.
So
Sorry about that.
What it looks
Coffee's
like,
kicking in.
what it looks like in 2024 is you're going to have a lot of people who can't afford their house anymore, right? That have to sell it. So you have people that are going into homes right now, and the unfortunate byproduct of that is certain people can't afford it anymore, right? And it's like the unfortunate thing with adopting pets, right? It was a big deal during the pandemic. People were bringing on pets, and now all of a sudden, they've
SPCAs
bonded with
are
you.
full.
Right,
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
bonded with you. Now everybody's going back to work, and they're leaving a pet at home. All of a sudden, the pet is acting up. and they have
Mrs.
to get rid of
Smith,
it.
stop listening to Joe.
But the same thing is happening now. What will happen with homes? People are getting into homes right now because interest rates are low and they're maxed out, and unfortunately, they're not going to be able to afford it. So that inventory is going to go on the market. The homes that are already on the market are going to go. Foreclosures are going to be there. So you're looking at 2024 as okay. Now we have inventory on there. Interest rates up, so you have less buyers. So now you have more
We're
choice.
getting to more balanced market.
A more balanced market. I'm not saying that this is going to snap into 2007.
Thank you for not
where
using
where
the
it's going to
balloon.
be a recession. Nothing is going to pop where we're going to go back to like a 2007 type of feel.
We'll just
But it's going
balance
to be
out a little
more balanced, and people aren't used to selling in a more balanced marketplace. They're not used to going out there and earning listings, right? You go in there or selling a listing or marketing a listing to sell. Because now it's right now they're just selling on their
Well, this
own.
is why Pearl is so important.
Absolutely.
Right? This is literally why Pearl is so important. The reason why Yona and I, in particular, are always in front of this, because we've been doing this for 3 decades. over 3 decades. And I know one thing for sure. What's going to happen? Change.
Yeah.
Right? The market is the market. It's going to go up. It's going to come down. It is what it is. I'm going to push back a little bit. We're going to go from double-digit, increase in value to back to the normal 3 to 5%, 3 to 6%, the way it should be. It's a balanced market. It's a healthy market. And
It's nothing to be afraid of.
I disagree with you a little bit. When I have conversations with first-time home buyers, and I just had this one the other day, which kind of blew my mind. To me, the best way to hedge against inflation right now
Is a 30-year fixed?
is a 30-year fixed.
Yeah, but to Joe's point, he's saying that the wear and tear in the house
I
is
get
going to
that.
escalate in price, and you're not going to have the supply chain to cover that escalation because everyone's pinched.
Well, you're not going to have the capital to do it.
Yeah, and on top of that, the workers to do the work. I mean, I'm trying to get the inside of my house painted. I mean, I'm talking 90 days away just to
Yeah.
get the inside of a house painted right now.
And you're lucky.
And to his point, when the painter has that many options where he's forecasting me out or scheduling me, yeah, he's just increasing the price. He says, well, you can get ahead of the schedule if you want to do this price, or you can wait 90 days and this is the price. And I-
So I'm having, since we got a dog, we are now putting a new fence up. My wife is on the board of the Flavanna SPCA, and I guess apparently you get a dog when you're on the SPCA. But we're doing a fence, same exact situation.
Yeah.
The guy
Yeah.
is 90 days out, and I'm like, look, what can I do to make this happen? It's somebody I had a relationship with, and I just got a phone call on the way in. Hey, Joe jumped out of the schedule. I'm coming in tomorrow.
So you're saying 2024, you're going to see the additional inventory on the market? Is your
Well,
crystal ball?
that's my, if I have to guess, you're, hopefully it happens before then, but I'm thinking.
I think
I'm thinking 2 years.
2023 it'll start.
I mean,
Maybe the tail end, but sometime in 2023 is when this change is going to start.
you'll
happening.
start to see that if interest rates climb a little
Yeah.
bit, like if they ever got to, and I don't think they're going there tomorrow, right? But if they ever got to like a 4.5.
Which is still
It would just-
ridiculously
it would-
cheap.
Right, yeah.
My
Historically,
first-
that's a great
When I was in
rate.
the
I would
mortgage
love-
business, when I was in the mortgage business, my first refinance, I refinanced somebody to like a 12%. And they were like thanking me. They invited me in for coffee.
This is where he says his first house was 18% plus.
Wow.
18%.
Yeah.
And we'll never get to that rate again, right? You can't.
That's credit card.
Right.
I usually say my first house had an 8 in it, and then you figure out it had a 1 in front of it. But yeah, and
But
I
I
was
think
damn happy. And it was a $150,000 house. Just think about that.
Yo, imagine if the house was $800,000 house
Yeah.
at 18% clip. What's your
But think
payment
about it
was?
in 1987. Just think about it. In 1987, somebody pull out an amortization table on the feed at 18%, and we put 10% down. It was a pretty healthy monthly nut.
Yeah.
Tad, what's your take on this?
Well, no, from my perspective, obviously, I don't claim to be the expert that these two guys are and yourself, but from my perspective, I look at everything like, the people that currently own homes. The most important thing is protecting your investment, right, and increasing the value of your largest asset. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, I've seen people a lot of times where they'll get solar, they'll have their Pearl certification, and then they'll turn around and refinance the home to take advantage of the increase in value, refinance the home, roll the solar right into it, and then just never have a bill, right? It's just all taken care of. It's within the mortgage. So there's a million different ways to be, creative, but I think the things that you can do to increase the value of the home are only going to protect you. Because if you do end up having to be on the market in a relatively short period of time, then you're going to want to make as much money on that sale as you can, differentiate yourself, within the marketplace as well. So anything that you can do to increase value and protect your investment, I think is always going to be a good thing.
Well said. Great show, gentlemen. I mean, it's been fun.
It's
Oh my
over
God.
already?
I mean, we're at 11:40.
Wow.
Man, felt like about 25 minutes.
Flies by.
You guys are good hosts.
Flies by. Keith Smith, you're an excellent host.
Oh, thank you. I'm just following your lead, sir. That's what show is it? 220 shows of
Amazing.
you coaching me through this. I'm getting there.
You're doing a hell of a job, my
getting
friend.
there, I'm getting there.
So he's Keith Smith. This gentleman's Tad Luttrell, Joseph Gentile. We hope you enjoyed it. We took a topic that we made it approachable and fun.
I agree.
And we
Hopefully.
hope you learned something from it as well. We will archive this show, guys, on every social media platform possible. For those that are asking, also on the website, ilovecville.com. This is what it's all about, using social media for knowledge and approachability and unity and positivity. instead of the opposite of that. Judah Wickower is our compass and our North Star. Thank you, my friend Judah Wickower. We will be back in approximately, wow, Judah, we're going to have to get to work here, 45 minutes.
Whoa. He needs to get to
I have to figure out what I'm going to talk about.
Oh, okay.
45 minutes on the I Love CVille show.
So-
Thank you kindly for joining us. Yeah.
So if you own a home, do yourself a favor, green door, take a half an hour or 15 minutes. If you're slow like me, 35 minutes, and go ahead and do that. It's a really wonderful tool, and it'll give you some great information, and you can just start eating away a little bit at a time that which you can afford. That's what the Smiths did. So thank you for sharing with us, Joe, on that. Next thing is I got to beat him up a little bit more.
Thank you for joining us, guys. We'll see you in 44 minutes on the I Love CVille show. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Nicely done.
Well done, Ted.
Gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thanks, Scott.
That was great.
Appreciate it.
Great job.